Scientists have at last disclosed what lies at the bottom of the Oak Island money grave. It's similar to a traditional tale about concealed riches and traps, but with a twist. Despite the fact that we know precisely where the treasure is concealed, recovering it has proven to be an arduous task. In most instances, the greatest difficulty in locating buried treasure is in locating it. In this case, however, it is retrieving it that poses the greatest challenge. Numerous individuals have theorized and attempted to solve this issue, but no one has yet been successful. The mystery encircling Oak Island and its fabled lost wealth has attracted countless treasure hunters for over 2 centuries, but scientists have now revealed what is at the bottom of the Oak Island money pit. Despite the efforts of numerous people, including notable figures such as Franklin D. Roosevelt, Errol Flynn, and John Wayne, the treasure remains stubbornly buried in the earth, resulting in the deaths of several people. In 1795, a man named Daniel McGinnis discovered a strange circular depression on an uninhabited island off the coast of Nova Scotia. McGinnis, a fan of the genre, decided to investigate the depression after hearing rumors that Captain Kidd had buried 2 million pounds of treasure east of Boston. The following day, McGinnis and his companions returned to the site and began excavating. Initially, the ground was very soft, but after roughly 3 meters, they struck something solid. It was a piece of oak, not a hoard of gold. Initially, this did not appear to be much, but as the men delved deeper, they discovered another plank, and then another. Along the sidewalls of the trench they were excavating, they also observed what appeared to be pick and shovel marks. Someone excavated and then filled in the trench many years ago. Due to the island's size and isolation, it is highly unlikely that someone dug such a large and deep grave for any purpose other than to conceal something of great value. The search for the missing treasure of Captain Kidd had officially begun. However, despite vertically descending the equivalent of 3 stories, no treasure was discovered. The workers ran out of resources, time, equipment, and people, and gave up constructing the massive hole in the earth, henceforth referred to as the Money Pit. The Money Pit on Oak Island had attracted treasure hunters from all over the world, despite the fact that excavation had been abandoned following a failed initial attempt. In 1802, 30 men from the neighboring hamlet of Onslaught arrived with shovels and pickaxes and began excavating the ditch, making it deeper than it had been previously. Approximately 27 meters in depth, they discovered a large stone engraved with a cipher that, when deciphered, would disclose a hidden message, as well as wooden platforms spaced at 3-meter intervals. 10 feet down, 2 million pounds are concealed. However, disaster struck just as it appeared that Captain Kidd's treasure had been found. The Onslaught personnel returned to the money pit one morning to discover that it had been completely submerged by 18 meters of water. Due to this strange and unanticipated event, the extracted shaft is now useless and cannot be used for further excavation. The Onslaught's troops, undeterred by their defeats, resolved to dig a shaft parallel to the money pit in order to access the treasure from the side. The fact that the second shaft also filled rendered their efforts futile and compelled them to abandon their goal. Another determined search for Captain Kidd's concealed treasure did not commence for nearly 50 years. In 1849, a team from Toro arrived and redigged the 2 holes that the Onslaught crew had dug. The water filled the openings once more, rendering their efforts futile. The Toro firm observed an anomaly that the Onslaught crew did not notice. A portion of the water in the pits was mildly salty, and its level appeared to vary with the tide. This suggested that seawater was finding its way into the money pit, which was located approximately 40 meters inland. Following a search of the island's shores, the crew discovered the beginning of a small canal that led to the money pit, which was located deep below. This was the first indication of the odd, unexplainable events that would plague the search for Captain Kidd's wealth. The treasure hunters were determined to obtain Captain Kidd's loot, but the discovery of the mined flood system was a significant setback. Despite the apparent value of whatever was at the bottom of the hole, accessing it was exceedingly difficult due to the elaborate security measures in place. The Toro crew dug numerous shafts to approach the pit from a variety of directions, but their efforts were frequently thwarted by water and sudden cave-ins. They were ultimately compelled to abandon their search for the treasure, forever altering the allure of Oak Island. Since then, swarms of people have flocked to Oak Island in the hopes of excavating the money pit's buried riches. Over the past 170 years, countless explorers have flocked to Oak Island in quest of the rumored legendary treasure buried at the bottom of the money pit. Some have attempted to avoid the complex booby traps in the flood tunnels, while others have dug ditches on other parts of the island, frequently at the cost of human life and spawning fanciful rumors of a curse. In spite of the development of ever more advanced instruments, such as steam pumps in the 1860s and divers in 1909, treasure hunters have attempted and failed throughout history. Even though they sent apparatus for digging and divers to the island in 1909, the old gold salvage gang was unable to break Oak Island's curse. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the future president of the United States, is rumored to have been a member of the original Gold Savage group and to have been fascinated by its mystery throughout his entire existence. Errol Flynn and John Wayne, two of Hollywood's greatest stars of the 1930s, donated money to multiple expeditions. According to legend, King George VI of England instructed 2 treasure hunters to submit their finds. Despite numerous searches, the treasures of Oak Island have evaded discovery. Rick and Marty Lagena, brothers who were filming their treasure search on Oak Island for the History Channel, were in charge. The fact that this is the 9th season of the program could be indicative of how successful their quest has been thus far. The siblings have unearthed a variety of intriguing artifacts, such as money, weapons, and jewelry, but they have yet to find Captain Kidd's legendary loot. The longer one searches without discovering the treasure, the more reasonable it becomes to question its very existence. The story should be regarded as a myth, despite the fact that many people have searched for his riches. The discovery of evidence that Daniel McGinnis had discovered the money pit in the 1790s did not occur until 1857. In addition, the account differs based on the cited source. There is little evidence to suggest that Captain Kidd concealed valuables on Oak Island, and the popular conception of pirates is wholly fictitious. Walking the plank and other stereotypes, such as parrots and prosthetic legs, are not supported by substantial evidence. The portrayal of Robin Newton as Long John Silver in the 1950 film adaptation of Treasure Island also contributed to the mythologizing of the infamous pirate incident. Contrary to conventional belief, there is only one well-documented case of a pirate actually burying treasure, and it wasn't them. Captain William Kidd. Be sure to stay informed and subscribe for more information on recent discoveries and findings. On Gardner Island, 500 miles away, Kidd buried his wealth, which was discovered less than a year later and used as evidence in his trial and execution. However, it is also conceivable that Kidd hid treasure on Oak Island. Why would Kidd, or any pirate for that matter, go through the trouble of excavating a 30-meter-deep booby-trapped pit to conceal treasure if the objective was merely to keep anything valuable secure? A few meters would have sufficed, correct? Even if Kidd did bury wealth on Oak Island, it is likely lost forever due to the inability of modern technology, such as ground-penetrating radar, to discover it. In 1995, the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution conducted a scientific investigation of Oak Island to locate any concealed treasure. As a result of their investigation, the crew came to the disappointing conclusion that the fabled inundation of the money pit was not the result of a complex trap, but rather the result of natural geological processes on the island. In Nova Scotia, near Oak Island, there are sinkholes that share some characteristics with the original money pit. Even if the cryptography stones and oak platforms discovered in the money pit appear to disprove this theory, it is important to note that many of these critical pieces of evidence have not vanished despite having been a part of the Oak Island legend for more than a century. Researchers discovered something incredible in the Oak Island money pit. Oak Island is a sequestered location off the south coast of Nova Scotia, and for generations, people have been fascinated by the island. Finally, researchers discovered something unbelievable in the Oak Island money pit. A large number of academics, scientists, and explorers are intrigued by the possibility of uncovering the mysteries buried beneath the island's surface. It may seem like an exciting adventure on a real-life treasure island, but bear in mind that many individuals have risked their entire fortunes in an attempt to make a fortune on this island. Some unfortunate individuals have even lost their lives in the process, only to have nothing to show for it in the end. The entrance of the Lagena brothers, who have joined the long list of treasure hunters attempting to solve the island's mysteries, has brought about a recent change in the status quo. The Lagena brothers are confident that they possess the skills necessary to locate the fabled treasure said to be buried on Oak Island, and ultimately, these researchers discovered something in the Oak Island money pit that you won't believe. Join us as we observe them as they investigate this 200-year-old enigma, and together we will determine if there is, in fact, hidden wealth on the island. Throughout the course of their expedition, they stumble upon some astounding discoveries that will astound you. The Lagena brothers have devoted a substantial portion of their careers to locating buried wealth. It is understandable why anyone would be captivated by the prospect of unearthing centuries-old treasure buried by someone in the past. Unfortunately, similar to a large number of other visitors to the island, the brothers initially encountered difficulties and failed in their endeavors. Rick and Marty were fortunate in that their treasure hunting efforts did not go unnoticed. The A&E network became aware of the brothers' work, and recognizing the potential for a compelling series about treasure hunters investigating Oak Island, decided to collaborate with them on a series titled The Curse of Oak Island. It's quite eerie, wouldn't you say? Thanks to their cooperation with the television network, the brothers were able to recover the funds that they had previously spent on their travels to the island. Their research activities attained an entirely new level after receiving financial support from the network and other investors. It is essential to note, however, that despite the influx of wealth, the Lagena brothers and their new investors did not make any noteworthy discoveries during the first 2 seasons of their program. This is something that must be recognized. Despite this, they demonstrated an admirable amount of patience, which is commendable because, as the saying goes, patience is a virtue. After 3 seasons of searching, the explorers on Oak Island finally made significant discoveries that aroused their curiosity. The discovery of a ceremonial Roman sword suggested that Roman soldiers may have visited Oak Island before Christopher Columbus. This major accomplishment opened a floodgate of opportunities for the crew, and as they diligently combed the island for riches, they discovered a wide variety of artifacts and antiquities. A handcrafted replica of a map of France was one of their discoveries, which aroused their interest in the artifact. In order to conduct the analysis, they enlisted the assistance of historian and maritime expert Zena Halpern. After determining that the map was created in 1647, Halpern theorized that the resources it indicated may have originated in Africa. During the course of their investigation, the Lagena brothers and the rest of their crew discovered fragments of a book, which further investigation revealed to be a bookbinder. After making this discovery, the brothers began to contemplate the possibility that they had not yet discovered additional buried manuscripts on the island. A fragment of parchment made from animal skin was yet another fascinating artifact discovered. William Chappell and Frederick Blair, explorers of Oak Island, have been hypothesized to be involved. In the 15th century, when the document was created, only the wealthy could afford to dispatch mail. In addition, the explorers discovered a number of gold coins near a pit that became known as the Money Pit. This location sparked the island's obsession with treasure that has persisted for the past 2 centuries. Unfortunately, a recurring issue with flooding halted Chappell and Blair's treasure hunting expedition when the Money Pit became submerged in water, preventing them from making any further progress. After Chappell and Blair led the way, many others attempted to find treasure on Oak Island, but unfortunately none were successful. Chappell and Blair were only the beginning of a long line of people who followed in their footsteps. The issue of where the loot was hidden evaded even President Roosevelt, despite his best efforts. Despite numerous abortive attempts, the search for treasure on the island continued indefinitely. This was due to the efforts of individuals like Irwin Hamilton, who unearthed artifacts that were not typical of the area. It was evident that Rick and Marty had a challenging mission ahead of them. They were fortunate to have a competent and capable team supporting them. Craig Tester, who had been Marty's college flatmate, joined their ranks, as did Dan Blankenship and his son David, all of whom were experts in their respective disciplines. Dan Blankenship, for instance, was a renowned hunter who left his contracting business to investigate the enigmatic island. Since the Lagena siblings had been treasure hunting since they were young children, it was not surprising that they were both exceptionally skilled at the activity. As soon as Ricky, then 10 years old, stumbled upon a boulder and became intrigued by the concept of unearthing buried treasure, their passion for treasure seeking was ignited. Even though their first attempt to search the boulder for treasure failed, it set them on a path that would lead them to spend the remainder of their lives engaging in similar adventures. As time passed, they gained a deeper understanding of the tales and legends surrounding Oak Island, which strengthened their resolve to investigate the island's mysteries further. The brothers Lagena and Dan Blankenship each purchased one half of the stock in Oak Island Tours in order to realize their dream of discovering the buried treasure and seizing it for themselves. This gang appears to be destined to follow in the footsteps of their former commander, Daniel McGinnis. McGinnis discovered a depression in the ground on Oak Island in 1796, prompting him to initiate his own search for wealth on the island. They and their associates spent approximately 10 years excavating the pit, but none of their efforts bore fruit. In the end, the Onslow Company was the one to assume responsibility for excavating the money grave, but they too were disappointed. Discovering only a stone instrument containing writing, it took over a century to translate the inscription on the stone tablet, which is believed to read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. Others relied on conjecture, such as Marie Antoinette hiding her wealth prior to her execution, or William Shakespeare hiding his fortune and unpublished works, while others used this as evidence to infer that there could be treasure on the island. Despite this, these hypotheses have not been confirmed because no treasure has been found. Since the beginning of excavation on the island, individuals such as the Lagena brothers have been responsible for the discovery of hundreds, if not thousands, of artifacts. The Lagenas made a remarkable discovery when they unearthed the bones of two distinct individuals. The fact that one set of bones belonged to a person of Middle Eastern ancestry and the other to a person of European ancestry added another layer of enigma to the island's history. The remains were discovered on opposing sides of the island. The discovery of bones belonging to individuals of Middle Eastern and European descent led to the conclusion that these men may have been members of the Knights Templar. Gary Drayton, an additional member of the Lagena team known as the metal-finding ninja, discovered a medieval-era cross and a stone with Greek letters. After analyzing the relics, Zena Halpern argued that they may be associated with Tannin, the Phoenician deity of fertility. These discoveries appeared to support the hypothesis that the Knights Templar had visited the island. However, after analyzing the artifacts, Zena Halpern hypothesized that they were associated with Tannin. When the cross's lead covering was removed, it was discovered to be made of gold, leading some to presume it was used to smuggle gold. In addition, some individuals believed the cross may have been used to transport gold. The Lagena brothers believed that their discoveries were more important than those of their contemporaries. Are you currently appreciating this video? Be careful to subscribe and enable post notifications to be notified immediately when a new post is published. In spite of this, they remained enthusiastic about continuing their search for treasure on Oak Island, which was fueled in part by their desire to uncover the island's mysteries as they proceeded. They made additional discoveries, including the discovery of various types of stone tablets in the money pit. Initially, the tablets were considered to be nothing more than ordinary artifacts, but after further investigation, it became apparent that they could represent evidence of Viking occupation of the island. Oak Island exploration has been a phenomenal experience for the Lagena brothers. Through their partnership with the television network, they were able to achieve financial success despite not discovering any genuine treasures. As a consequence of the show, they now own 50% of the island and have become billionaires. They remain committed to their work in the hopes that one day, with a little luck, they will find the treasure chests buried somewhere beneath Oak Island. Researchers on the team have just discovered something no one was meant to see. Click the following video to find out.